So my chapter in Living Well with Grit, Let's Go With Her Plan, is about my journey as a 4-time cancer survivor. It started with a diagnosis I never expected on November 24th, 2015. Stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was a single mom with an 18-year-old daughter. She was supposed to be getting ready for graduation, prom, and moving on to college. Instead, she was worried about losing her mom. It was the beginning of a 9-year journey with whirlwind highs and lows, but it's the path God guided me on. While He held my hand, provided me with a fantastic medical team, a never-failing support group, and all of the tools I needed to not only survive, but thrive. From the first time I heard cancer, I was determined not to give in. After all, I had a daughter who needed me. She's trying to work on college applications. She shouldn't be taking care of her mom. I couldn't let her lose her focus. I told my boyfriend, Dan, the first night that we met, I'm not for the faint of heart. He kind of smiled. He had no idea what he was getting into. But somehow he's still here. I was going to take this journey on my own terms. I wanted to remind myself, my medical team, my friends and family, that I was doing this my way. In 2015, I did chemo and maintenance. But when my doctor advised me to take 6 months off of work, I told him that was completely off the table. I needed my career. I needed to feel useful. I needed to feel I was making a difference. I needed to feel that I hadn't lost part of myself. My coworkers were a major part of the tribe. Some of them are here tonight. They supported me, laughed, cried, and celebrated with me through all of my diagnoses. They covered for me when I had a not-so-bright idea about taking a conference call while I was in the infusion center. Somehow I thought I was going to stay awake. That didn't exactly work. They covered for me and told our client that I'd been having internet issues all morning and they figured it probably just dropped. I asked my daughter when I woke up, "Why didn't you shut off my laptop?" She said, "You weren't snoring, so I figured it was okay." My coworkers made sure I was eating. They made sure I was drinking water instead of the diet soda that I love so much. They made sure I was going home on time. They delivered food. They delivered blankets because I was always cold. One of my friends who's here tonight, Jessica, even came and rebuilt my retaining wall at home because I couldn't do it. They were always there. But during my run-in with breast cancer in 2024, it was a different story. It was harder. They were there more and more. I put off medication that caused fatigue. I finally told my doctors, I'm not doing it. I'm running this plan. They argue with me. They try to reason with me. But I finally convinced them this is not my path. The medication was impacting my ability to do my job. I wanted the narrative to be mine. People I surrounded myself with were key to my getting through some very toxic treatments and many surgeries over the years. What I didn't realize during that first diagnosis was that they needed to help me as much as I needed their help. I tried to be tough, say I was fine, that I could handle it all. I had a friend, Samir, who would text me every week when he went to the grocery store. And he lived about 5 minutes from me, and he would say, "What can I get for you?" And every week, I would say, "I'm good." I felt like letting him go to the grocery store for me was giving up some piece of myself and letting cancer win. What I didn't realize is that he needed that. He told me later he felt helpless, and he felt that that was one way he could do something. And I didn't let him do it. Future diagnoses, I was a lot better about that. I looked at ways that people could help me. I opened myself up to that, and I realized it wasn't weakness. I've learned over the years to embrace those offers, to make lists in advance of the things I'm willing to let people help me with, and that accepting help is not weakness. It takes its own kind of strength. As women, we have trouble admitting that we can't always do it. My tribe also laid down the law when they needed to. I had one of my coworkers come in and tell me I had 5 minutes to pack my stuff and get out of the building, or she was going to pack it for me and put me in my car. I needed tough love sometimes. They came with me to ring the bell. They came and visited. They came and laughed with me. We laughed a lot. Sounds like a crazy thing to be laughing a lot during cancer. But like Meredith, that was my coping mechanism. I was really big at making sometimes inappropriate humor. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I asked the nurse if I got a special t-shirt for being diagnosed during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. After a biopsy, I asked the team, where's the margarita machine for the after party? But it was how I kept going. We've even made some comparisons and I've looked with friends and my own daughter, who's now 27, to figure out what I want my breasts to look like in May when I get new ones and pick through celebrity photos. I told my doctor I want these. In the quiet moments, I turned to my faith. Every time God provided me the answers I needed. Not necessarily the ones I wanted, but the ones I needed. I knew there was a purpose to all of this somehow. That God would never give me more to bear than I could handle. It was revealed in stages, a little bit at a time, until the picture was complete. There was a discovery of organizations that made such a huge impact in my life. Cancer Support Community of Greater St. Louis serves anyone impacted by cancer, not just survivors, families, friends, and those who have lost someone. I found them 3 days after my first diagnosis. When I first met Danny, who's the program director, she asked me how I was doing. I burst into tears and hugged the woman that I'd met about 30 seconds ago for about a minute and a half. She sat down and we talked for about 2 hours. She told me about the different things they offered, told me not to get overwhelmed, started me in little sections of their services. They became an integral part of my life and my daughter's life. I still have a letter that my daughter wrote in a family session to cancer. She was told she could say anything she wanted to. She could use whatever language she wanted to, and she could say everything. I still have it. She told me that was the most therapeutic hour of her life. They helped us so much, and I believe in them so much that I became a member of their board of directors. It's a way for me to help expand their services and meet the community of cancer survivors, like so many of us, where they are. It's having the support groups where you can say absolutely anything, and we do. Led me to American Cancer Society. I knew what they'd done, but I didn't know some of the challenges they face. It led me to a role lobbying state senators and representatives to pass legislation for cancer survivors and to participate in reviewing research grants for funding. And a final part of that vision was connecting with Jennifer and other GRIT members. As we tell our stories, support each other, and build a community for all women. Meeting other survivors as part of the breast cancer panel in October was inspiring. Lastly, some important lessons I've learned through my journey. Always make sure your tribe knows what they mean to you. You never know what tomorrow brings. You never know that you'll get that chance to tell them again. Focus on commitments that bring joy to you and the others around you. As women, we feel pressure to do it all. No is one of the most powerful words that you have. Don't be afraid to use it. And use your experiences to help and inspire others. You never know who needs to hear that story. I want to say thank you to my friends who are here tonight, and to my tribe who's been there for me through the years. You're all part of my story. Thank you to all of the other women here tonight who have presented and those that have shared their stories through the books. You're all inspiring. And thank you to Jenna for building this community for all of us who step outside our comfort zone and share our journeys. Thank you.